what else has changed like post COVID, and the way that you're operating?
Yeah, so first of all, one thing that's changed is that there's a lot more awareness on the business side of this industry around e-commerce. And it's evolved, early on it was a bit frustrating because people would think about e-commerce and they thought of it as a channel. And like, okay, we see like e-commerce is now 4% of business. It's a very small channel. And as a result, it captured a small amount of attention and budgets, right? But I think the sophistication around e-commerce has grown significantly. And now brands are realizing, hey, this isn't just about the depletions that you drive through e-commerce. It's about insights and information. It's about more efficient ways to launch products than the way we've been doing it for 50 years. It's about unleashing very efficient, targeted digital communications that are oftentimes more measurable and more efficient than big splashy brand campaigns that are difficult to really understand what they've done. It's about consumer insights, either given back to you by a platform by Reserve Bar, or for those brands who are really getting it now and putting commerce on their own website, they're actually getting PII and they know who their consumer really is. And it's kind of crazy to think about when we talk to young brands and they say, hey, what's one of the first things that we should be doing? We have very limited budgets, like help us strategically. And aside from doing all the smart things to gain distribution, which is obviously the most important thing as a young brand, we always tell them put e-commerce on your site because even in a month or two, even if you've only sold 200 or 500 bottles, and that's not terribly material to your desired case volumes, you'll know 200 to 500 consumers who've bought your product. You'll actually know who they are. You can actually communicate with them. You can learn from them. You can embrace them and leverage them to be ambassadors for your brand because they're amongst the first ones to discover it. And there's some brands that have been around 100 years and they don't know who 500 of their consumers are, right? That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, and that data is so valuable. And I think, pre-e-commerce, you really didn't have a lot of options other than, if your distributor would give it to you, or if you would pay, thousands of dollars a month to be able to access those, at the big data companies. So I agree with you. I think that has been such a macro change, even, yeah, even beyond just like, the addition of a new channel, but just the insights that you can gain as a small company, it really like lowers the barriers, to entry into success, I think. So fully agree. And there are two tracks that you mentioned here that I definitely want to go down. One is for, supplier strategy, but I think for now, let's stay on sort of like consumer insights, if that's all right with you. I'd be curious to know, you know, in your opinion, what stage of maturity do you think we're at for like consumer adoption rate of e-commerce of alcohol?
Yeah, and if you think about like historic economics type, marketing books or learnings that you'd had if you studied marketing and you look at adoption curves, right? They're slow, then they have a period of, hockey stick typically, then they sort of start to flatten out. And then in most instances, there's the long tail end of that where actually some of the business erodes, right? I think we had an artificial hockey stick spike that was triggered by COVID. And it was pretty amazing when COVID first happened. There were some states that they shut down everything, right? Pennsylvania shut down alcohol, and they pretty quickly were like, that's not actually working out so well. It didn't work out for prohibition. It's probably not a good idea now. So when the only way you really could get alcohol for a brief period of time was through e-commerce, right? That wasn't a normal adoption curve. Like something was dumped on the economy and on people, and the behavior change was mandated. And so, since it's cooled off from that, if you were to draw like a logarithmic line through it, that would be the more normal thing to expect going forward, right? So it's still growing, it's still early. It way lags CPG. Like think about all the other stuff you get delivered to your house all the time, right? People say in alcohol, why do you need e-com, right? My product's everywhere. My product's on every shelf. It's at every C store, every grocery store. Why do you need e-com? Well, hello, most of the stuff that you get on Amazon is also at your local grocery store or C-store, and yet, they're running 50,000 trucks driving stuff around every day. So it's got a ways to go to catch up to CPG. It has a lot of aspects to it that should make it catch up. Regulatory is not one of them. That makes it difficult, right? But these are big, bulky products. They're kind of annoying to go to the store and buy. Retail experience oftentimes isn't great. It's either, you know, the staff is either not knowledgeable and not helpful or annoyingly knowledgeable and intimidating. When you're trying to just pick a Cabernet to bring to somebody's house for dinner. So I think it's early. We have great expectations, and the more friction we can eliminate between the logical moment when purchasing alcohol on your phone makes sense, the more people will do it.